And dear all, I'm really happy to be here as a representative of the operational arm of the UN system. I head the UN Office of Project Services. You may know us or you may not know us, but I hope the ones who know us would recognize us as the workhorse of the UN. We deliver project management, procurement, and infrastructure services to governments, to donor governments, other donors, other UN agencies, and increasingly also to private investors. We don't deliver policies. We implement projects. More than 1,000 projects, you could say, to support the policymakers. The Global Compact is timely taking up the Sustainable Development Goals. And when UN member countries last year adopted these goals, they were signing what we could call an order to themselves. The goals give us a GPS roadmap to human progress by 2030. And the goals place an order for schools and education, for health and health systems, for access to sustainable energy, and for infrastructure, food supply, water, sanitation, along with goals for good governance and justice. We have heard the numbers already. It will require trillions of dollars of investments over the coming 15 years. And we know these goals provide tremendous opportunities for the private sector. At the UN, we have for decades been used to looking at official development aid as the prime source of funding human progress. But with total development aid rising only marginally from its present level of around $150 billion, it is crystal clear with a new agenda that aid will not suffice. Domestic public funding raised by sound fiscal policies and a broad and just tax base will play a much larger role than aid. And private sector investments will play an equally, if not even more important role. And without the private sector and without policies that are conducive to private investment, we can all wave goodbye to reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. So what if we all work together, governments, the UN, and other traditional development partners, and the private sector? What if we use development aid smartly to help unleash private investments for work that help reduce poverty and bring prosperity of a scope and scale so far unseen on the surface of the planet? And this is, in my mind, particularly important in places where, without such combination of sources, the risk of investing would be considered prohibitive. UNOPS believes that the UN system, with its unique set of core values, its expertise and its global perspective and convening power, has an important role to play. But this demands that we keep evolving and that UN understand how private capital works. UNOPS is strong in project implementation. We have broad local knowledge from working in more than 80 countries. I can count 130 if I count all the countries I pay bills in. And we have close to 10,000 personnel on our contracts. We receive no core funding from donors. UNOPS, and I think this is probably unique in the UN family, is only paid for the services and goods we provide. We had a turnover last year of about $1.4 billion, and we run pretty much like a private business. But we are, of course, non-for-profit, and, of course, also fully committed to the UN values and the SDGs. Nowadays, many people talk about engaging the private sector. However, at UNOPS, we are actually already moving, and we are currently exploring the possibilities to develop and launch 2 investment vehicles, help catalyze decisions to invest private capital in developing countries. The first vehicle will contribute seed funding to projects during their development stage. We know of too many good projects that never reach the starting point because there is no financing in the pre-investment phase. The second vehicle focuses on co-financing more mature sustainable infrastructure projects and initiatives that measurably contribute to the realization of the SDGs. Our ambition is to help de-risking projects to the point where they become bankable. We are initially looking at sectors like waste management, renewable energy, rural communication, and social housing. And we would love to engage in further conversations, both with the Global Compact members and with you all, signatories or supporters. We're really looking forward to actually do new stuff. Thank you.